Like for the clan is what MC's father always said. He meant that MC should not desire anything, and that he should just stay by his brother's side like a shadow. We see MC is on his knees. One person says, "What a priceless sight. A knight fighting off the continent's strongest commanders on his own. As expected of that man's brother. Very interesting indeed."
Sion vert.
Cyan asks that person, "Who made you do this? Was it the emperor?" Cyan takes out his daggers, and we see that he is getting surrounded by black fog. Boris says, "That sickening black fog. It was just like the rumors said. You are an assassin from the Mist. Mist is an organization that is like fog to our Knights of Light. I will report to the higher-ups that I got rid of an impure being that was affiliated with the heathens." Cyan is very angry, holding on to his dagger, and tells him that he can tell them if he even has the mouth left to do that after this. "I guarantee you, you won't even have a tooth remaining after I'm done with you." Boris is getting nervous. He says, "If you intend to use your secret power, you better give up now. There is a 9th star magic barrier cast here." Cyan thinks that he need to get out of here and reveal culprit behind this with his brother. He is very angry and says, "A barrier? I'll just tear it to bits." Ice's brother appears there. He asks Cyan to stop. Cyan gets shocked after seeing his brother. He never imagined that his brother would betray him. He thinks, "Live for the clan is what my father always said." His father tells him that his brother Askell is by extension the clan. Ashenvert's success is Cyanvert's success. Cyan sees his brother and thinks, the culprit behind this was Askell. He was very shocked and dropped to his knees. Askell says, "You seem very confused that I'm here." Cyan asks him, "What is the meaning of this?" He says, "You've carried out your duties well. For the clan, for the people, and for me. Therefore, I'm just trying to take the burden off your shoulders." Cyan is still in shock and says, "I don't understand. Did I do something wrong?" Ashen says, "Wrong? That ominous fog. You're nothing more than a murderer. I can't even call you human anymore. You fooled us for long enough. Can you really say that you don't know your sins?" Cyan thinks, "Murderer? My sins? What the hell is he talking about?" The succession fight within the Empire. The Demon King army's raid. The war to unify the continent. I helped you achieve all that you began, because serving you was my life. But now, you're abandoning me? I worked like a dog for 20 years under you. He is very angry. He gets up and thinks, "It doesn't matter if my entire body breaks down. I will give everything I have right now, if it means I can destroy you." Soldiers are shocked after seeing his powers and wonder how he still has this much mana left. That's impossible. That's no human. Cyan is ready to fight and says, "How silly. The hero is trying to kill his younger brother because he's afraid. Aren't you ashamed of yourself?" Cyan attacks him, but he dodges his attack. Cyan runs around and thinks that just once. Once is enough. They both are ready to collide their weapons. Cyan thinks, if I can stab his weak point so that he can't regenerate. There is a barrier that stops Cyan's attack. This barrier is created by Boris. Ashen stabs him with his sword and says, "You poor bastard. I wanted to do you the favor of giving you a painless death since you are my younger brother, but you have shown your true colors. I knew that was what you were from the start. A demon. It's a good thing I never trusted you to begin with." He throws Cyan away and is about to go away from there. Cyan is about to die and thinks, "Damn it, is this my end? What a foolish life I've led. Stupid." He suddenly jumps to attack Ashen. Ashen sees that and attacks him, which kills him. After that he wakes up on his bed. His maid Emily is there. She asks about how long he intends to sleep for. She tells him that he needs to get ready. She is calling him a young master. Cyan suddenly asks her, "Why are you here?" He thinks, "It has been almost 20 years since I last saw her. She's the same as the last time I saw her. This place, I remember. It's the room I used to live in when I was younger. The furniture arrangement is the same too. Wait, am I back to being a child?" Emily asks him if he is stalling for time because he doesn't want to go to training. She tells him to make up his mind and get ready for training. We see the Vert clan duchy. Cyan is there. He thinks, "I'm certain. I'm back in the duchy in the past. Is this like the thing where your life flashes before your eyes before death? I remember. 27 years ago. Foundation year 985. March 1st. It was a year before I entered the academy. Every year, the duchy holds a duel training session. My father, who is the owner of the duchy, Duke Very, attends the event, making it a very big deal. My opponent is Kransfurt. He is the same age as me. My half-brother. His mother, Margaret Erzith, is the Duke's wife. Krantz received a lot more attention despite the fact that we were both the youngest. I was a bastardized son, and after being mocked in this fight, I became a laughing stock to everyone. This duel was the reason my father stopped paying any attention to me too. Emily suggests that he surrender. Cyan tells her that it's fine. He can easily win. Cyan thinks, even a maid is looking down on me. He picks up the rapier and thinks, it's just a rapier. But it's so heavy. My strength is the same as when I was this age. This sensation, it's definitely not a dream. Nor is my life flashing before my eyes. I've never even heard of a magic spell that is capable of creating such strong illusions either. Am I really back in the past? Then maybe I can change the future. Krantz says, you didn't run off. Vert tells them to begin the duel. Krantz runs to attack him while asking him what he is looking at. Krantz is about to hit him. Cyan sees him and thinks, what? Is he a snail or something? Cyan easily dodges his attack. Krantz tries to attack him again and says, dodging like a coward. Cyan attacks him and throws his weapon away. Cyan hits him on the leg. He starts to scream in pain. His mother is worrying for him. Cyan thinks, now if I just put my sword up to his throat, this duel is over. But that's not enough. When I was this age, Krantz always bullied me as his form of entertainment. That bullying continued in the academy too. So I need to really stomp him down so that he can never try to do anything to me again. In this life, I will now pave a path on my own, for myself. After getting beaten by Cyan, Krantz passed out. The result of the duel was Krantz's loss. The Duke ordered for me to see him, and even freed up his schedule. Was my victory in the duel that impressive? I even have a high-class knight, Yulkin, who was directly affiliated with the Duke, escorting me. Cyan sees Krantz's mother on his way. After seeing her, Cyan smiles and thinks, she seems like she was talking to him about her son. She looks like she stepped in shit. Cyan asks him, is Krantz okay, madam? She gets angry and says, you have the audacity to ask such a question after beating your brother like that? How thick-skinned of you. Cyan tells her that this is how duels work. She says, this is why bastards shouldn't be treated like legitimate children. Like mother, like son. It's all because the mother is some dirty whore. You should be on the streets begging for food instead. You dare to put up a fight? You should know to be grateful. Cyan gets very angry and thinks, she has crossed the line. Should I kill her? No, I know better than anyone how to make her suffer. I'm going to torture her. Slowly, like painstakingly slowly. Cyan says, you know I'm going to the academy as well along with Krantz, right? She asks him what exactly is his point. Cyan says, I'm sure you want your son to graduate with his limbs intact, right? I guess you're not that worried about him, Duchess? She is about to hit him. Yulkin stops her and says, I apologize, Duchess. The Duke called for him with urgency, so I don't think we can delay anymore. We'll get going now. Cyan laughs and says, the Duke's orders are absolute. I'm being protected by the guard knight who was given that order. A knight who won't submit even to the Duke's wife. How nice and reliable. He enters the room of Duke. He says, from Cyan, the youngest child of the house of Vert, greetings, father. Vert asks him to have a seat. He thinks, it's been almost 15 years since we met one-on-one. Duke Willius Vert, the great feudal lord of Velias, a western feud of the Ushif Empire. Though it calls him by a different name, Guardian of the Continent. The hero who stopped the invasion of demons for a long time. With the help of his remarkable magic power and worldly wisdom, this man shouldered a responsibility no once compelled on him, until his very death in battle against the invasion of the Demon King's army. All he wanted was there to be peace in the entirety of the continent. But my memories of him are different. As a man who utilized his free will to decide on living his whole life serving others. A stupid man. Very says, your eyes precisely followed the sword and dodged it. The moment Krantz ran at you, you looked straight at the path of the swinging sword and turned your body to dodge it. When did you learn how to wield a sword? Cyan replies, I wouldn't say I learn it. I practiced it every night on my own. Very says, from what I know, you've never had any interest in swordsmanship. Why did you hide such excellent skills? Cyan replies, I didn't really want to catch others' attention. Vert says, despite that, you really went all out at taking down Krantz. But wasn't what you did after that unnecessary? Cyan thinks, his intention behind that question seems pretty pursuing. Is he trying to get a feel of what I'm capable of? Cyan tells him that he wanted to prove himself. Very asks him about what he wants to prove. Cyan tells him that he wants to prove that he is better than Krantz, even though we share the same blood, which is also what I concluded as the meaning of the duel. Very smiles and says, excellent. A clear and concise answer that shows off your level-headedness. I didn't know you were so talented.
I'm delighted.
You'll become a great, reliable source for the Askel one day. Cyan thinks, what? Why would I become his helper? It's the same as always. He's still as obsessed as ever with Askel. Vert says, it's not a trophy, but I want to reward you for this duel. If you want something, you can tell me. Cyan thinks, then, I'll destroy everything. Everything that Askel tried to do. Cyan tells him that he wants to enter the battlefront. Emily gets shocked after hearing that Cyan wants to enter the battlefront. Cyan says, yeah, that's right. Nothing's certain yet. She asks him, are you out of your mind? Do you have any idea what kind of place that is? It's swarming with wicked and terrifying demonic beasts all over the place. Velias, the western feud of the Ushif Empire. This is the only place in the entire continent to be called the battlefront. Even in that the Lima Valley, that can be called the front line, is a ferocious battlefield where the battles with demons have been going on for hundreds of years. Because of that, my father, who stubbornly opposed it from the start, gave me a condition to become worthy of going to Limia Valley within 1 month. Cyan thinks, I don't know on what basis he will decide my worth yet. I just gotta raise my physical strength as much as possible in the time I've been given. I'm still weaker than my peers. At least I'm lucky enough to have the same combat sense as I had before regressing, and the little amount of magic I sense from within me. If I train this body as per my capability, I can definitely make good use of it. I'm going to start training today. Cyan's sister Alice appears there. She grabs Cyan and asks him if he is crazy. She tells him she heard that you asked father to send you to the battlefront. She says, it looks like defeating Krantz got to your head. This won't do. Come with me to the rooftop. They appear on the rooftop. She says, now, we start when we draw our swords. I'll let you go to the battlefront if you can endure my attacks for 3 minutes. Cyan asks her, do you really have to go this far, Alice? She says, I'm not hearing any of that. Just answer one question. Are you after the family's title? Cyan thinks, that's why she's doing this? I'm not the slightest bit interested in that. She assumes that he is and asks him to draw his sword. Cyan thinks, it hasn't even been half a day since my duel with Krantz. The whole day was chaotic. She runs to attack him, but Cyan stops her attack. She thinks, no way. He blocked that. He's a 10-year-old though? Cyan thinks, are you really trying to go all out against your brother who's 7 years younger? She thinks, a rapier has a very light blade, yet he cleanly parried off my long sword's attack. Was he just lucky this time? She says, you've got better intuition than I thought. She attacks her, but he dodges her attack again. She gets very shocked. Cyan is barely holding her attack. They both get away from each other. Cyan is scared and thinks, that was dangerous. If I didn't move the sword midway, I would have killed her. Bro is scared that she might die. He thinks, most of the missed swordsmanship's assassination technique skills are instant kill. Since I lack stamina, dealing with her without killing her will be hard. How much longer till the 3 minutes are over? I've overcome the difference in physical strength by pouring magic power into the sword, but I'm almost at my limit. Alice is looking very exhausted. She says, O earth, O wind, come to me, become my sword. Cyan notices that she is about to use 6-star grade magic. She is using the aqua blade. Cyan cries and thinks, is she about to kill me? She is saying that she can't lose. Cyan thinks, I was wrong. The look on her face makes it clear she's crazy. Even if I block that, I'll still fall outside the castle. Since it's come to this, I don't have another choice. She is about to use her final attack. Cyan runs to block the attack while thinking, please, stop hesitating and just come out. Yulkin appears there and stop both of them. Yulkin says, Lady Alice, that's going too far against the young master. Cyan is relieved and thinks, I was wondering when you would show up. Alice comes back to her senses. She hugs Cyan and says, I'm sorry, Cyan. I lost it for a moment. I just didn't want to allow you to go to the front line, because I was too obsessed with that I unknowingly was about to use that attack. Cyan thinks that just like Nunim, she's too hardworking. Nunim is part of the Royal Academy where all the proud noblemen of the continent are gathered. She was the elite of the elite, with an unparalleled record of having an S grade in all subjects, like swordsmanship, magic, literature, etc. And to top it all off, she had a beautiful face, so people called her Child of God. Nunim, who wielded the sword since she was little, was called the next protector of the continent, alongside the eldest son, Eshelvert. But not long after she joined the Knight of Light, she ended up meeting a miserable end. I missed you, Nunim. I'll protect you this time. Alice asks Yulkin, aren't you the Duke's guardian knight? Didn't the Duke just leave on a business trip? Yulkin says, I was carrying out his order to guard the young Master Cyan for now. Although, I couldn't tell you earlier because I was told to keep it secret. Cyan thinks, I'd been feeling his presence since I left the office. Would he not have appeared at all if I continued acting like I didn't notice? But why did my father make it a secret? Cyan falls asleep while hugging Alice. The next day, Nunim returned to the academy. I had come to meet father before graduation. He barely did 10 push-ups. He thinks, I devoted myself to exercising for 2 weeks, since I felt the desperate need for stamina training. He is very tired and thinks, 10 is my limit. There has only been despair for 2 weeks. I was pretty confident when it came to stamina. Urgent measure need to be taken. Emily appears there and says, Young master, a parcel from Lady Alice has arrived, and it smells awful. Cyan thinks, it's the hellhound's blood that I'd requested from Nunim, who felt sorry. It's a rare item that can only be obtained in Ramia Valley, but it seems the rumor that it was going around in the black market was true. Due to its distinct foul smell and the burning sensation it leaves in the mouth, the demonic beast's blood is considered a poisonous substance, but in reality it has the effect of permanently increasing the taker's magic power and stamina. Many says it's only superstition, but I'd seen its effect very well in my previous life. Emily asks him if he is really going to drink that. Cyan says, yeah, and thinks, don't worry, Emily. I'm the only person who's even adapted to your food. I remember that first moment. Was it button mushroom soup? I nearly had a heart attack after eating that. Compared to that soup, this is delicious. He drinks all of it. Cyan gets up and tells Emily that he is going out for a walk. He thinks, well, shall we see how well the medicine works? He is outside and thinks, it's been a long time since I last came here. I've been waiting for this day for 2 weeks. This moment, when Yulkin isn't here due to making his regular report. This was a place I often came to whenever I wanted to be alone. But one day, a revelation from the god of light, Rummindel, came to Eshel. It was a revelation about a dormant ancient temple somewhere in the Black Hill of the Valia's estate. I was skeptical about it, but there really was a spot where the flow of mana was concentrated. Of course, the revelation hasn't come down yet. Only I know about it for now. He uses his mana on the ground and thinks, Eshel, what I'm about to do now, you would never even seen, I guess. Ground breaks, and we see stairs leading to an underground temple. Cyan says, should I give it a go? Cyan is walking down the stair and thinks, it looks different from before. This place has been serving the god of light, Rummindel, until the history of this land was erased. During the Holy was 300 years ago. We can see a temple. There is also something emitting light. Cyan thinks, I can't believe there was a place like this. Who would have imagined? I see it. The owner of this temple. There is a big and legendary-looking sword. We see the year 999, August 12th. Humans finally succeeded in driving out the demons that took over Valias. The demons were beyond human limits. Then the humans discovered ancient artifacts called God's Treasure. With these they were able to achieve victory. One of the artifacts is Drandark, the holy sword guarded by the god of light Rummindel. regarded as God's treasure, led the victory against the demons. And I will meet a tragic end because of Eshelvert who will possess that sword. The Drandark might be related to my regression. He touches the sword and thinks, I knew it. Nothing happening. He hits the sword and says, it just made me feel like shit. Let's just do what I have to do and leave. Shadow emerged beyond the light. Found it. There is a circle with a dark sword. Cyan says, anyone would think it's the shadow of the sword at first glance, because it's ridiculous for something shadow to be like this. But this isn't a shadow. Where there is light, there is darkness. He emits his mana on the ground. He says that it's the passage to another realm concealed by the altar of light. We see there is a dagger that Cyan was holding before his regression. He says, I'm actually glad to see it like this. My dagger, the demon blade, Karam. Dagger is also emitting the mana that is the same as Cyan's mana. Cyan asks Karam to wake from his sleep. He swings the dagger around and asks if he is still sleeping. Cyan is happy and says, this familiar sensation. This is the best. I want to use it somewhere. We see someone coming out from the shadow. That person says, how brave of you, kid. Don't you know what it means to wake me up? Cyan tells that person he doesn't care what happens and tells that person this dagger is his now. That thing gets bigger and says, I can't believe you've awoken a sleeping demon blade. It's too late to regret it. Your body is mine now. That shadow goes towards Cyan, but he easily grabs the shadow. That shadow is a girl and Cyan is holding her from the throat. Cyan says, I didn't have to take measures back then. She asks him, what are you? How are you able to touch me? He replies, I told you, didn't I? You're mine. She tries to attack and asks him to get lost. She gets away from him. She asks him, who are you? Are you the heir? Why do you have heir's energy? Cyan replies, you're right. I'm heir's heir. Your master is here, so bow your head. Demon blade, Karam. She tells him that she can't accept this because he is just a kid. She tries to attack him, but he blocks all of her attacks. Cyan thinks, talking won't work. The final goal of a demon blade is to steal the body of its user. It can't be helped. Should I go easy on her? Cyan is still smiling. He says, demon blade control. Karam feels the pressure and falls on the ground. Cyan says, it's annoying, so I'll only say this once. Can you just accept me as your owner while I'm still talking nicely? She tries to get up and asks him, how do you have that skill? He uses the demon blade control again and again and again. He uses it again and again until she acknowledges him as her owner. Cyan thinks, I've achieved my goal. Should I return now? I left the place empty for a while. She is inside the blade. She says, I haven't tasted the outside air for so long.
I'm excited.
She turns into a floating orb. She asks him, sir, what's your name? He tells her his name. She asks him, did Air really choose a child like you as his heir? Cyan says, yeah, in my past life. She doesn't believe him. Cyan tells her that he already died once. She sees the holy sword and says, that sword is still sleeping. Cyan says, its owner might appear 20 years from now. Cyan cuts the handle of the sword, due to which sword falls down. Karam asks him, what are you going to do with it? Cyan replies, I don't know, and even if I don't right now, won't it be interesting in the future? This is the end of the video. Subscribe for next part. They reach their destination. Cyan comes out of the carriage and thinks, I can't believe the day has already come. Time sure flies by. He greets the Duke. The Duke says, I'll ask you one last time. Are you still determined to go to the battlefront? If you want to back out now, I won't stop you. Cyan says, yes, sir. My heart already lies at the battlefront. The Duke asks Yulkin to open something. Yulkin brings a scroll. Cyan sees it and thinks, a magic scroll? Are they summoning something? Yulkin uses the magic scroll, and a hellhound appears in front of them. Cyan thinks, a hellhound? A low-ranked demonic beast from the Lemia Valley? Huh. The knights and father must have had a hard time preparing for this test. So they'll sweep in if it gets dangerous? The Duke tells Cyan, you must be responsible for your every action. So, prove how strong your resolve is by passing this trial and showing it to us. Yulkin thinks, a trial, huh? We see a flashback where Yulkin says, did you just say that you want to duel with me? Cyan replies, There are only 3 days left until the deadline of my promise with my father. I can't just keep swinging my sword in the air now, can I? I want to get a sense of a real fight too. Help me out, yeah? Yulkin tells him, for a duel, someone your age, like young Master Krantz, would be better suited. Cyan replies, I'm not sure why, but he runs away every time he sees me, so? Yulkin thinks, what a hassle. Yulkin says, if you insist, okay, but I'll only fight you with my sword's sheath. I'll focus only on defense, so attack me all you want. Cyan says, thanks, Yulkin. I have another favor to ask. Whatever happens from this point on, don't tell father about it. This is an order. Yulkin is confused. Cyan appears in front of Yulkin really fast. Yulkin blocks the attack and is surprised, thinking, that was heavy. I can't believe this. That was the sword of a 10-year-old? He's quick. Cyan disappears from his sight and then appears above him. Yulkin thinks, when did he? Yulkin blocks the attack. They exchange many blows. Cyan uses a powerful swing and says, as I thought, I can't win against you yet. Good job, Yulkin. Thanks for helping me. Yulkin, tired, says, great job, young master. Yulkin thinks, I can't believe the weak young Master Cyan has grown so much. If the hunch I had back then was right, by now, the young master can overcome any trial that comes his way. The Hellhound jumps towards Cyan. Cyan gets ready to fight and thinks, here it comes. Cyan attacks the Hellhound with a powerful strike. He thinks, with my current strength, fighting a monster is still too much. I gotta end this battle as quickly as possible. The Hellhound loses an eye. Cyan thinks, I'm going to kill it off with this attack. Cyan strikes the neck of the Hellhound. Everyone is surprised to see him fight. The Duke smiles. Cyan thinks, it feels like a waste. This much blood could fill a few bottles. If I did something like that here, they'd think I'm crazy. The Duke comes near him, clapping, and says, impressive, Cyan. I'll see you at the battlefront. Cyan says, thank you, father. Demonic swords appear, and one says, Master, do I look like a kitchen knife to you? Cyan replies, no, of course not. You're a demonic sword. Why do you say that? She says, then use me, damn it. I need blood to gain strength. Please, just let me have one gulp. Cyan says, don't you worry, because soon, I'm going to use you to my heart's content. Look forward to it. She is angry and says, then that's when you should have woken me up. After that, we see a really big ogre attacking the Duke and knights. The Duke shouts, it's an ogre. Ogre in the northwest. Set up a line of defense and take it out right away. Leave none alive. Start the restraint of salvation. All the knights scream. After that, we see a magic circle appear on the battlefield. There are a lot of ogres. They use magic to restrain the ogres. The Duke orders an attack. They start to attack the ogres. The ogres try to struggle for their lives. Cyan and his maid are also there. His maid is really scared. She says, young master, why did you want to come to a place like this? He thinks, to think I'd be back here. I feel nostalgic. The Duke asks Cyan, how does it feel to be on the front lines, Cyan? Cyan replies, I'm a bit nervous. The Duke tells him, as you can see, you will never know when you'll die in this place. So don't ever let your guard down. Cyan replies, okay, I will keep that in mind, father. He thinks, on the front lines, situations like this are a dime a dozen. There are usually 3 to 4 battles a day, and every battle has its own detailed response manual. With the capable advanced knights as the core, they take care of all the monsters that try to cross the front lines. The tent I'm assigned to in this place is in the rearmost area, where it's the safest. With the guards here being so disciplined, I won't even have a chance to feed Kiram. Do I really have to wait until dinner time? He asks Emily, what are you doing? She is really scared and tells Cyan, didn't the Duke tell us? That we won't know when and where we would die. Cyan asks, then why don't you pack up and return? She shouts and asks, do you think I can? When you can't even do anything without me? With the monsters all over the place, if I were to turn tail, who would take care of you, young master? Move. It's almost time to eat. Cyan asks her, Emily, What about the cape that I requested? He gets angry and thinks, should I just chase her away? Is this how she treats her master? He puts a dummy of himself on the bed and says, this should be enough, right? Emily asks, are you planning to go out to exercise, even in this place? He tells her, yeah. Did I wake you up? She says, you sure are diligent. The Duke would be proud of you if he were to find out. Anyway, I'll get going, so please take care of things as usual. He is about to leave and tells her, I'm asleep right now. Got it? He thinks, because this is the front line, night guard duties are usually strengthened. So if I don't move at this time, moving around freely will be difficult. He uses thick fog third move, Fog's Descent. He thinks, if I remember correctly, there should be tons of monsters in this place. It's the perfect place to use Kiram. Isn't that right, Kiram? Kiram says, this strong scent of blood. Master, I don't think I can hold back. Quickly, let me cut something down. Hellhounds attack him. He says, all right, Kiram, we'll do as you please. He starts to cut down the hellhounds. He uses Fog Sword, Rushing Fog Storm. He kills all the hellhounds. He stabs one of them and puts its blood in a cup and drinks it. Cyan gets really excited and says, this is the stuff. Kiram says, it's my first time feeling so refreshed after waking up. Good. We'll keep training like this. Some hellhounds appear behind him. She says, how long do you think it will take for us to get stronger by killing these mutts? Cyan smiles and says, don't worry. The night is young, and there are plenty of monsters. There are a lot of monsters in front of them. Kiram says, I'm getting excited. After that, we see two carriages of nobles protected by knights passing by. One of them says, I still think the front line is too dangerous. Why don't we turn back? A white-haired noble says, I told you not to treat me like a child. I'm the royal princess of the empire. How many times must I tell you that I'm bound to my duty to assist father in his tours? I really will get mad if you mention this again. Her escort says, understood, princess. That reminds me. There's news saying the youngest son of the Vert family is on the front lines. He should be around the same age as you. The princess says, that Duke Vert brought his youngest son? Her escort tells her the Duke wasn't really going to bring him. The kid volunteered himself. You guys are about the same age, so you should try to get along. The princess says, like I care about such a trivial thing. Forget it. I'm going to get some sleep. The princess asks, what's his name? Her escort tells her, it's Cyan. I'm pretty sure he's called Cyan Vert. The princess asks, Cyan? Cyan Vert? Huh. After that, we see the Duke kill a monster and say, check if anyone's been injured. A knight says, everyone is okay. The Duke tells the knights, good work. Let's hurry back. Cyan is also there. The Duke asks him, how are you adjusting to life on the front lines? I'm learning something new every day, father. Is that so? I thought you'd want to hurry back. You've endured for quite some time. I'm very proud of you. Cyan is surprised and thinks, what? The Duke tells him, I have something to talk to you about tomorrow, so come to my tent early in the morning. Cyan thinks, I've never seen father be so kind before. He replies, yes, father. After that, we see at night, Cyan is killing monsters. A deathworm attacks him. He says, they should usually only appear deeper in the valley. Kiram asks, Master, you seem to be struggling. Why don't you let me take over instead? Cyan asks, let you take over? You think I'm unaware of your schemes? Kiram replies, it's not like that. I swear I'll use it for a bit, and then allow you to take over. Do you see that? It immediately regenerates any shallow injuries. It won't be of any use to keep attacking him. Cyan thinks, she's right. This will just continue on forever at this rate. It's already been a month since I've come to the front lines. I've drunk the blood of countless demonic beasts, but I feel that still wasn't enough. I guess I have no choice. The deathworm attacks him. Cyan says, I'll play along with whatever you're planning for now, Kiram. Kiram says, all right, let's go wild. She uses thick fog ninth form, demonic sword manifestation. The deathworm gets hit by hundreds of slashes in an instant. Cyan thinks, I'll rip your thick skin to pieces. The deathworm screams. Cyan uses Fog Sword, 8 fluttering petals. Cyan hits the worm with a really powerful attack. The worm gets cut into hundreds of pieces. After that, the Duke sees a lot of dead monsters and says, "It hasn't been long since they were killed." Yulkin asks, "The mana seems quite imposing. Could it have been a demon that did this?" The Duke replies, "We cannot overlook this if a demon was involved. Inspect the area and burn this corpse immediately." He thinks, "These sword traces look familiar. Is it just deja vu?" Yulkin calls the Duke and says, "Your Grace, I think you need to see this." They see a dead death worm. The Duke asks, "Who could have slain a death worm like this? Could it have been that organization?" After that, Cyan thinks, "Demonic sword manifestation. It lets Kirim take over my body so that she can use her true powers. But she can completely take over me if I let my guard down." Cyan has an evil and excited smile on his face. Cyan is in his bed and thinks, which is why me using her to take down just one monster is actually insane. It's a good thing I drank all that demonic beast blood. Had it been a month ago, my body would have broken down. Kirim says, "I get it now. It's just your outer appearance that's of a kid. You don't act or talk like one. The level at which you handle me is too proficient for a first-timer. You know the entire geography of the Lemia Valley too. Your sword techniques are that of mists, and it's as if you've trained for 30 years at least. Plus, you said you've already died once, no? I'm certain now. You're a regressor, right?" Cyan says, "Doesn't it imply that if I say that I already died before? I thought I made it obvious enough." Kirim gets angry and says, "How is it obvious when you haven't explained shit?" He tells her, "I'm too lazy for that." She says, "Anyway, killing someone like you must have been hard. If I were to guess, you were killed by the owner of Duran Dark. There are two possibilities. You were either killed in a duel or betrayed, and I feel it was definitely the latter." He asks, "Why do you think that?" She tells him, "You look at the holy sword like you stepped in shit. I'd be an idiot if I couldn't tell from that. So your goal must be revenge. Either way, just keep this in mind. If I catch you faltering or losing, I'm going to swallow you up." Cyan hits her with a punch and says, "Know your place. I'm not an idiot." Cyan smiles and thinks, she hasn't changed at all. She's the same as she was in my previous life. After that, he comes out of his tent. He sees all the knights walking around and thinks, "What's happening? It seems a bit chaotic today." Emily gets to him and says, "Young master, you're up." Cyan asks Emily, "Did something happen?" She replies, "Yes. Apparently, a high-level monster's corpse was found near the entrance of the valley." Cyan thinks, is she talking about the death worm? She says, "It's been so long since there was a sighting of a high-level monster near the camps." Cyan asks, "Anything else?" She is surprised and says, "Pardon?" Cyan asks, "Was there any talk of anything else? Like sightings of a suspicious person or something about me?" Yulkin gets there and calls, "Young Master Cyan, the Duke wants to see you right away." Cyan thinks, this is a pain. I couldn't take care of the corpses of the monsters because the soldiers suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Cyan is angry and thinks, my plan was to enjoy a quiet life before entering the academy. Cyan gets in front of the Duke and says, "I, the youngest son of the Verts, greet my father." Cyan thinks, father would notice that it was me. The Duke says, "Yes, Cyan." Cyan thinks, if he asks me about yesterday's incident. The Duke tells him to have a seat. Cyan thinks, what kind of excuse can I even make? The Duke asks, I'll be direct. What were you doing last night? Cyan says, I went to bed early as I was tired. The Duke thinks, went to bed early? But those sword traces reminded me of Cyan's sword. Techniques. Was I overthinking it? Cyan says, why do you ask? The Duke thinks, it's hard to believe that a child this young could have slain a death worm. Plus, the Duke tells him, I'm sure you've heard about what happened near the camps last night. We'll have to look into it more, but it seems like the work of a secret assassin organization, Mist. Cyan asks, Mist? The Duke tells him, it's an organization that has existed since ancient times. We do not know their goals, but they have assassinated countless nobles under the excuse of purification. They're infamous for leaving behind a black fog wherever they are. But one day, they disappeared. They were last seen 300 years ago. But the corpse of the death worm from last night was shrouded in black fog. Black fog is the trace left behind by Eru, the god of darkness, the very god worshipped by mist and the source of their power. If my assumptions are correct, it was mist that slew the death worm and the other demonic beasts. Cyan is really surprised and thinks, "That's amazing." He was able to precisely pinpoint who the culprit was, despite the organization having been last seen 3 centuries ago. The Duke tells him, "We can't guess the reason for their sudden appearance, but you should be careful. Nonetheless, I'll notify the Empire about this and investigate further." Cyan says, "Yes, Father." Cyan thinks, "I guess this means he's going to believe me?" The Duke thinks it'd make no sense for Cyan to be involved with such an organization when he's this young. He tells Cyan, "That's enough for this conversation. Were you told who's visiting today?" Cyan replies, "I did hear that His Majesty will be visiting, but was that supposed to be today?" The Duke tells him, "Yes, I wanted to ask you for a favor regarding that." Cyan says, "A favor?" After that, we see the knights blow the horn and shout, "Here comes His Majesty, the Emperor." The Duke, Cyan, and all the knights kneel, and the Duke says, "I, the Lord of Velias, greet the Honorable Emperor, His Majesty." The Emperor says, "Villiarth, we're old friends. Don't be so polite." The Duke says, "Your Majesty." The Emperor sees Cyan and says, "Is it that child?" Cyan greets the Emperor and introduces himself. The Emperor says, "For a boy this young to be residing in such a rough environment, your children are definitely different from the ordinary ones." Cyan thinks, "I was wondering what the favor was going to be, but he just wanted me to appeal to myself as his son. I was always cooped up in the mansion in my past life when the Emperor visited. I'm so deeply touched by Father's trust." The Emperor says, "Splendid. I wanted to introduce someone as well." The princess introduces herself, saying, "I'm the 5th princess of the Ushif Empire, Erin Severus." Cyan thinks, "Erin Severus, the tragic 5th princess?" He thinks of the Duke saying, "You'll need to escort Princess Erin for the day." Cyan asks, "How?" The Duke says, "No need to be so surprised. You just need to keep her company. You're the same age as her. You'll see her once you enter the academy too." Cyan thinks, "I do recall seeing her in the academy in my past life. I saw her a few times between classes." The Duke tells him, "There's no harm in becoming acquainted with someone of the royal family. It won't be long, but I just want you to get along." Cyan thinks, "I don't really want to do it, but I understand Father's intentions. He probably wishes that we develop a friendship like he has with the Emperor, but he's picked the wrong person for it. She cannot become my friend, although I can't say that since that's a future only I know of. It's annoying, but I'll have to just be obedient for now." After that, we see Cyan escorting Erin. Erin asks, "Why is that river so red?" Cyan says, "You mean the Blood River?" She asks, "Blood River?" He tells her, "It's a stream that runs through the entirety of the Lemia Valley. There isn't any complex reason as to why the water is red. The demonic beasts who are old or injured and can no longer fairly compete with others for survival will instinctively jump into the Blood River. The demonic beasts' corpses and bodily fluids will then melt into the river, turning it red from the decomposition by the mana." She is surprised and asks, "So that's all demonic beasts' bodily fluids and corpses?" Cyan tells her, "Yes, they also drink and wash in it. It's very disgusting. Don't go in it." She asks, "What's at the end of the river?" He replies, "The demon realm." Erin asks, "Demon realm? Where the demons live?" Cyan says, "Yes, if you keep following this river, you'll even meet the Demon King." Cyan thinks, although no sane person would do that, it's amusing to make fun of her. There is a bright light in front of them. Erin says, "What's that light?" Cyan says, "That's the 3rd sentry post in the west. A yellow light signifies incoming demonic beasts." "There are demonic beasts here?" The Duke says, "Protect His Majesty. Guardian Knight Division troops will come with me to the 3rd sentry post in the west." The Emperor says, Don't be like that, Villiers. The Duke says, Your Majesty? The Emperor says, You think I'm here to go on a hike? I've been starting to get really bored anyway. The Duke says, All right, Your Majesty. The Emperor says, We will join in the demonic beast raid. Focus on killing the demonic beasts until the raid is over. The Duke says, You join too, Scion. He says, Yes, Father. Aaron says, You can fight the demonic beasts? He says, Yes, although I'm still just supporting from the back. You should get to the shelter. She says, Take me with you. He thinks, What the hell is this kid saying? She says, You said you're the same age as me. Then I can come too. He tells her, People die here. It's not a playground. Aaron says, I don't care. I'm going, and no one can stop me. Yulkin says, Yes, young master. I, Yulkin, will substitute for the royal knights and escort Her Highness to safety in the camps. Yulkin says, Let's go, Your Highness. Aaron says, Impudent. How dare you treat me, a princess, in such a manner? Scion says, Dozens of knights might die because of your stubbornness. A split-second decision can decide your fate of either dying or surviving in a war. Can you take responsibility for all those lives? Scion says, Go back if you're gonna cry like a child, Your Highness. There are really big snails. Get back into formation. Protect His Majesty and slay all the monsters. Do not spare even a single one of them. He thinks Dion Severus, the emperor of the Ushif Empire, had 2 wives. Diana Quazel was the first wife, but she is now dead. Cassandra Nepellus is the second wife and considered the prominent judiciary of the empire. The former empress gave birth to the first and second princesses, and the current empress gave birth to the third prince and fourth prince. However, Erin Severus, the fifth princess, was a bastardized daughter born to some peasant mistress. People treated her as something like a scarecrow of a princess for her mixed blood, but she did not care about how others perceived her. She fulfilled her duty as a part of the royal family and devoted herself to her studies more than anyone. However, she was framed for treason by those who resented her, and she was kicked out of the royal family and the empire. Rumors spread that she died alone from a disease on an island. Because of that, people called her the tragic princess. She could have lived a happy life had she not been greedy. It would have been better for her to live without any ambition. Karam says, "Isn't that what your father always told you in your past life?" Science says, "It's different. That's what royal politics are like. All the monsters are dead." Science thinks, the emperor sure is skilled. The emperor uses holy lightning. He thinks, Emperor Dion is known to the public for being an 8-star in magic rank. Had he not become an emperor, he probably would have been the Mage Association's head. I'm sure an intermediate rank demonic beast is no problem for him. I guess you could say that being an emperor is his hobby. The emperor says, "It's been a while since I shared a drink with you, Villiers, although I do feel quite lonesome that it's only me drinking." The Duke says, "I'm sorry. I do not allow myself to drink on the front lines." The emperor says, "Anyway, I was reminded when you asked me about the current atmosphere in the empire." The Duke says, "There has been a recent spike in assassinations of nobles. It's causing a lot of anxiety. Are there any patterns to these assassinations?" The emperor says, "Yes. All of the assassinated nobles were corrupt officials. Plus, Black Fog was present at all of the murder scenes. Do you have an idea? I did find traces of them here yesterday. It seems like the Black Fog followers have been on the move again." The emperor says, "It makes sense, but you'll need to look into it more. I do appreciate that you're taking care of the garbage, but I can't just sit by and watch as the people grow more anxious. There's something else that concerns me." The Duke asks, "What is it?" The emperor says, "Some damn noble is blabbering that this is the 5th princess's fault." The Duke says, "You mean there are people trying to tie Princess Erin to those incidents?" The emperor says, "I've been suppressing them by shrugging it off as nonsense, but it seems like there is a group that wants to use her. Let me ask you for a favor as a friend, and not as an emperor. If I end up dying before you, please take care of that child." The Duke says, "I, Villiers, will carry out your Majesty's orders to completion." The emperor says, "Thank you." Emily asks, "That's all?" Cyan says, what more did you expect? She's the princess. You just ended the escort there? Emily says, you're never gonna get married at this rate. He thinks, I wasn't going on a date? Cyan says, anyway, I'll trust you to take care of things while I'm gone. She says, are you going training again? It's raining so hard. He tells her, don't worry about it, and don't stay up waiting for me either. Emily says, who are you? Aaron also gets there and asks, where were you gonna go? Sorry, but can we talk if you're not busy? Emily is excited to see her, Your Highness. After that, Aaron says, how long has it been since you got here? Cyan says, about a month. Why did you come to see me? Aaron says, can you excuse us for a bit? Cyan says, go outside for a bit, Emily. Emily says, all right, have a good time together. Cyan thinks, a good time with a 10-year-old? No. Aaron tells him, I'm sorry about what happened earlier. I feel like I didn't act as a princess should. Cyan says, you don't need to worry about that. I apologize for being rude. Aaron says, no, I would have said the same thing if I were you. You're acknowledged by a lot of people, unlike me, and you're a lot more mature. He thinks, so that's the kind of personality she has. Aaron says, right, you're entering the academy too, right? Let's be. Cyan says, I'm sorry, but I don't believe I can be of any help to you. If you're here to make friends, please leave. She says, I just wanted us to be on good terms. You're harsh. She starts to cry and says, do you also think that I'm just a shell of a princess? He says, I understand. I guess there's no benefit in being friends with me. Sorry for wasting your time. Aaron says, I guess I was short-sighted. I thought maybe we could at least talk. But you're completely different from Sir Askel. He is really surprised. He thinks, what did she just say? She says, what's with you? Cyan says, Askel? No, how do you know my brother? Aaron says, I got to know him when I was touring the Royal Academy last year. He grabs her by the hand. She says, he advised me not to care about what others think and that I should just fulfill my role as a princess. He thinks, advised? As if, I know that demonic bastard's personality better than anyone. It already began as soon as she met him. The plan to bring down Princess Erin. Cyan says, let me warn you. Emily says, young master, you have to run. A monster falls from the roof. A monster appears in front of him. The knights say, damn it, that's the young master's tent. Hurry, check if the young master is okay. Emily screams, young master, what? The emperor says, what did you just say? A knight says, advanced rank demonic beasts ambush the rear camps of the border regions. I think the princess was there when it happened. The emperor says, everyone in the imperial army, to the rear camps immediately. We need to secure the safety of the princess. Yes, your majesty. The emperor thinks, she was in the rear camps? Whom was she going to see? After that, we see Cyan is fine and is watching the monster. He thinks, Deathworm and ogres too. They should only reside in the deeper regions of the valley. But for them to be here in the rear camps, something must have changed. Is it because of me? Emily says, young master, I thought you were really dead. I'll never leave your side again. We see a flashback. The roof of the tent breaks. He grabs Aaron and jumps. He thinks, back in my day, I even killed the Demon King, as if I'd die from some mere troll. Aaron asks, do you think the knights in the camps are okay? Emily says, don't worry, your highness. The knights are really strong. She has tears in her eyes and says, this wouldn't have happened if I didn't come here. The knights that came with me are. One of the knights says, we're okay, your highness. It's given that we would protect you as the knights of the empire. Another knight says, he's right, your highness. We'll protect you with our lives. Cyan says, move. A really big hand appears behind a knight. It grabs the knight and squeezes him. It's a troll. Cyan appears in front of Aaron to protect her from the troll. The troll sees Cyan and gets angry. Cyan thinks, I knew it. It's me that it wants. He says, I'll distract the troll, so get away with the princess. Emily says, okay. Emily grabs Aaron and says, What are you doing, Mr. Knight? Let's go. Cyan is frustrated and thinks, she was really eager to leave, huh? The troll screams. Cyan starts to attack the trolls. Cyan thinks, why are the advanced ranked demonic beasts all attracted to me? I feel like they're smelling something on me. Kiram says, you drank the blood of countless demonic beasts in order to become strong, and that's why you reek of them. It'd be weird if they didn't come for you. Cyan asks, what? You knew about this? Why are you telling me now? She says, did you forget? What I want is your body. Cyan grabs her. She says, what are you doing? He tells her to shut up. She says, please treat me better. The troll is about to attack. Cyan says to her, I don't care how many monsters come at me. Cyan cuts off one of the troll's arms and also cuts off its head. Cyan says, now that no one's watching, let's go sip on some advanced ranked demonic beast blood. There are a lot of trolls, ogres, and hellhounds in front of him. Kiram says, it's gonna be a feast. Cyan is surprised to see something and says, wait, is that a devil dragon? A really big and strong-looking purple dragon appears there. It screams really loudly. Kiram says, no, it's still a baby. I guess he also smelled you. Cyan gets really excited and thinks, it doesn't matter why the dragon is here. He uses demonic sword manifest. He thinks, what matters is that I catch that thing. Cyan says, you have to catch that dragon. No, you have to eat it. An ogre gets attacked by light arrows. The emperor asks, is this the last one, Villiers? The duke says, yes, it seems so. The emperor asks, what about the princess and your son? The duke tells him, I can't find their traces past the tent. I'm sorry. The emperor says, it's fine. I'm sure you're worried about your son too. The duke says, there's no need to worry about him. What matters right now is the princess. The emperor says, that's cold. Is he really your son? The duke says, a vert should know how to look out for himself. A knight comes running and says, Your Highness, we've found Her Highness. The emperor asks, are you sure? She gets there. The emperor asks her, are you hurt anywhere? She says, hurry. We need to save him. The emperor asks, save who? She tells him about Cyan. The emperor tells her to calm down and tell him what's going on. The duke says, you're Cyan's maid, are you not? Emily says, yes, I am, Your Grace. He says, you tell me, has something happened to Cyan? Emily is really scared and thinks, I'm scared. I've never seen the Duke look so scary before. She tells the Duke, the young master acted as bait in order to give us time to run away. A knight says, I remember where he was last. If you just give me an order, I will go with others to save the young master. The emperor says, what are you waiting for, Villiers? Hurry. The Duke says, we are not doing that. They are surprised, and the emperor asks, are you serious? The Duke says, we must take care of this situation first. If these camps fall, the demonic beasts will invade the empire. We must reconstruct the place right away. That is the only way to prevent more deaths. Emily asks, then what about the young master? The Duke tells them, he's done his duty by helping the princess evacuate. That is what it's like to be a vert. The princess thinks, why? Just why? No, because of me again. They hear a really loud cry. The princess says, this cry? That sound? A really big dragon appears above them. Cyan is holding onto its leg with tears in his eyes. This is the end. Subscribe for more.
At the beginning of this part, we see that Cyan thinks dragons, creatures that are the closest to the creator. They are very rare and noble creatures. Inferior beings like humans dare not easily approach them. Cyan is holding onto the dragon. Cyan thinks, it's an honor to be able to come across such a high and mighty creature. But why did it have to fly over the very people that I can't be seen by? Aaron is also watching. The emperor says, unbelievable. A dragon. Though, Villiers, why is your son on top of the dragon? What are you doing? Aren't you going to save him? Cyan thinks, damn it. All I wanted to do was drink its blood. I didn't expect this to happen. The dragon lands on the ground. Cyan says, You have to catch that dragon. You have to eat it. There are a lot of monsters. Cyan says, screw off, you mongrels. I don't have any time to waste. He uses Fog Sword, Rushing Fog Storm, and cuts down a lot of monsters in an attack. Cyan says he's definitely not a fully grown dragon. The dragon uses a powerful breath attack. Cyan blocks the attack and says, now you're being rude. You dare spit in my face on our first meeting? Well, you can take my sword to the face then. He cuts the dragon. The dragon gets cut on its eye and face. The dragon attacks Cyan. Cyan uses Swordless, 8 fluttering petals. He cuts the dragon multiple times. Cyan says, I guess I can't take on a dragon just yet. My shoulders are sore. Well, time to wrap this up. He thinks, I won't fall for the same trick twice. That lizard, he's running away. I can't let you go. Stop right there. The dragon looks scared, and Cyan jumps toward it. He thinks, I guess I used up all of my luck coming across this dragon. Well then, how will I take care of this situation? Kirim says, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you doing anything? Cyan says, what do you mean? Can't you see all those people below us? Kirim shouts and asks, so what? If you unsheathed me, you got to do something at least. Cyan also shouts and asks, you want me to use the demonic sword with all those people watching? I'll be burned at the stake immediately if they see that. She asks, then what? Are you just going to stay on this dragon? Cyan says, I'm thinking right now. The Duke uses a light sword. Cyan thinks, that's advanced 8-star magic. He's going to use the secret sword of the heavens, knowing that his son will get swept up into it too. The Duke uses swords made of light. Cyan thinks, you're really living up to your title as the continent's guardian, father. That's right. Good dragon. Cyan says, keep avoiding it like that. He's about to get hit and says, I don't think you'll dodge this one. Cyan falls and says, I can't believe I missed the opportunity for such a special meal. Kirim says, what are you doing? Fly. Are you going to kiss the ground? Cyan says, if I use a miss skill, I'll be burned at the stake. Kirim says, are you just going to let yourself die then? Cyan says, I don't know. Maybe I'll even stop thinking. Cyan is falling and says, wait, I think there's a way. Kirim asks, Master, you're not going to fall in there, are you? In that water? Cyan asks, what other choice do I have? Kirim says, no. We see a devil. He asks, a devil dragon flying around here? What a rare sight. One of his subordinates says it's a young one. Seems like it got lost and got itself into trouble. The demon says, there must be some strong demonic beasts over there then. His subordinate says, no, it's humans who live across that border. The demon sees humans and says, there's no way a dragon lost to something like a human. His subordinate asks, is something bothering you? He tells him, I could feel a very strange energy from over there. Something strange, but also familiar. His subordinate says, if you're that concerned, you can go check it out. However, please refrain from killing everything you see just because you're bored. He says, all right, I won't cause any trouble. Cyan comes out of the river. He is frustrated. He asks, Kirim, you alive? Kirim says, don't even talk to me. I'm trying to decide how I should kill you right now. Cyan tells her, we'll clean up once we go back. Don't be so mad. Kirim asks, so you're going to go back? Get it together. She says, this is the demon realm. Cyan says, don't worry. There's no way we'd come across a higher demon here. A demon appears and says, I knew it. I knew something fun would be waiting for me here. Cyan is really surprised. He thinks, I remember this voice. The demon says, you. Cyan thinks, the voice that is so deeply embedded in my brain that I cannot forget it no matter what. The demon asks, are you a human? Cyan sees him and thinks, the demon king, Velcarion. Cyan thinks, in the past, all those who have witnessed him said that it felt like looking at the embodiment of evil. That is what stands in front of me right now. Damn it. Cyan takes his fighting stance. He thinks, why now? Velcarion asks, I asked if you're human. Aren't you going to answer me? He appears behind Cyan in an instant and asks, Do you want to fight me, kid? Cyan is surprised and swings his weapon. Valkyrion easily dodges the attack, but one of his hairs falls. He starts to laugh and tells him, I did hear that you're a kid with infinite potential. It might be true. Kiram asks, seems like the wrong time. But who is that? Cyan tells her, the Demon King. She asks, the Demon King? How the hell are you going to defeat him in the state you're in right now? Cyan thinks, it's impossible. I can only try running away. Cyan's hands are shaking. He thinks, but could I survive against Valkyrion? Valkyrion tells Cyan to relax and asks, what am I going to do against a little kid like you? You can calm down. Valkyrion lies down and says, look, I'm really not going to do anything to you. Even if I'm a demon, I won't fight kids. Cyan is surprised and thinks, what? Why is he suddenly lying down? Valkyrion says, let me ask again. Are you human? Cyan replies, yes. Valkyrion asks, how did you get here? Cyan tells him, the current of the water. He asks, so it's your first time in the demon realm? Your aura is a bit strange. You know who you are? Cyan tells him, a normal human. Valkyrion says, a normal human, but it feels like you know me. Cyan says, we've never met before. Valkyrion says, I guess that's true. I've never seen a human before either. When could you have seen me? Cyan thinks, that relaxed manner. Is he really the same Demon King I know? Cyan asks, why are you here? He replies, I felt a strange energy while making my rounds. Cyan asks, making your rounds? He tells him, yes, as the Demon King, it's given that I would watch over the lands I rule. Valkyrion sits and asks, kid, what did I just say? That it's given for you to watch over the lands you rule as the Demon King. Valkyrion asks, aren't you shocked? I'm the Demon King. Valkyrion says, I knew it. You do know me from somewhere. What kind of kid in the world would react like you did? Has your mom never threatened you by saying that the Demon King will take you away if you're not a good boy? Cyan is surprised and thinks, there's no way he's the same Demon King. If things go like in my past life, the demon invasion should start soon. But this guy doesn't seem like someone who would do that. If this is his true self, then what triggered him to change? Cyan asks, if you're really the Demon King, what is it that you wish to accomplish? Valkyrion smiles and says, asking the Demon King such a question? You're quite bold. He tells him, nothing much. I just want my people to live good lives and eat well. Though if anyone dares to get in the way, I will kill them all. That is my duty as the Demon King. Cyan thinks, it was just for a moment, but I definitely felt it. The true monstrosity of the Valkyrion I knew in my past life. It's repressed right now, but some incident must have removed the chains on that side of him. I need to prevent that incident from happening. Cyan asks, Demon King, do you want to make a deal? Something will happen to you soon. Something that threatens the people you rule over. Valkyrion gets serious and asks, what are you talking about? You're not making any sense. Cyan tells him, I don't know exactly what the incident is, but I am certain that the incident will trigger a great war between the humans and the demons. He gets angry and asks, you mean I'm going to want to take your lands? Cyan says, that's why I want to negotiate with you. Promise me that you won't start a war no matter what happens. Valkyrion says, you're making no sense. All right, let's say that I don't start a war. What are you going to give me in return? Cyan says, I'll help you. No matter what happens to you, I'll do my best to help you. Valkyrion says, you know something. He asks for his name. Cyan tells him, Cyan Vert. Valkyrion says, all right, Cyan Vert, I promise you as the owner of the demon realm that I will not invade your land no matter what happens. But you better take responsibility for your own promise too. A deal is a deal, after all. Cyan nods his head. Valkyrion smiles and says, all right, that completes it. After that, some knights find Cyan. He is lying unconscious on the bank of the river. Cyan thinks, after the deal with the Demon King, the inspection team found me conveniently lying there, and I was able to get back. Then I earned the nickname, the boy who survived the Devil Dragon. They return to an abbey on the borders of Velias that was being used as a military hospital for the time being. Cyan says, sorry. Aaron says, let me repeat myself. Cyan thinks, I thought things were resolved smoothly. Aaron asks Cyan, will you be mine? Cyan is confused and thinks, what the hell is she saying? Cyan replies, nah. She says, of course. I'm an impotent princess. He thinks, she's really getting on my nerves. Well, I knew that she was impotent, but her attitude makes her even worse. It's obvious what's going to happen, but I can't stop thinking about the fact that that piece of S is somehow involved with her tragic end. Cyan says, you're right. You can't bring any benefit to me, or anyone for that matter, as you are right now. You don't have any influence, or even any etiquette. It would actually be bad for me if I were to be close to you. However, I'll watch you from afar until you've developed into someone better. She asks, watch me? He tells her, yes, don't be disappointed by that. She says, no. I get what you mean. I just have to improve enough so that you'll acknowledge me. Just wait and see. I don't know when, but I'm going to become so powerful you won't be able to ignore me. He tells her, I'm looking forward to it. She says one more thing. Thanks for being alive. Really. After that, we see the rear camps on the outskirts of the forest. Someone is walking in the snow. He looks like a middle-aged man. He brings out a magical box. He says, not much left now. Someone appears there and says, so it was you, Reynald Crimson. Reynald thinks, my body won't move. It's as if some invisible chains are tying me down. That man says, a small dimension box. Guess its commercialization has yet to happen. An artifact that's imbued with a dimensional realm and enough mana to allow infinite storage. It was the masterpiece of the Garum Kingdom's Mage Association, wasn't it? It's Cyan who is standing behind him. He says, I've been keeping an eye on it for a whole year because I felt like someone within the Empire was smuggling them. So that's how you've been doing it. I'll be taking this, Reynald Crimson, 7-star Mage Knight from the Garum Kingdom. Reynald says, you're Cyanvert? Why are you here? Cyan brings out everything from the box and says, I assume you extracted the blood of demonic beast corpses and brought them over in supply carriages that are allowed over the border. I assume there's a spy helping you in the supply department too. Reynald shouts and asks, what are you talking about? I don't know anything about that. Cyan says, you don't need to play dumb. Their blood is already being sold on the black market. Cyan thinks, I assume Alice was able to get the hellhound blood through him too. Who betrayed us then? Either way, I can't let him leave. Reynald thinks, I don't know how he managed to capture me, but I can move a bit now. Reynald uses a magic called Breath Fire and says, die. The consequences of letting your guard down is death, kid. Cyan gets hit by the fire. Reynald says, I thought I was dead. So the rumors about him were true. I lost the precious dimension box. I never expected this kind of thing to happen in the midst of transport. Cyan cuts off his hand. Reynald starts to scream in pain. Reynald asks, what? What's that black fog? Could it be mist? Cyan grabs him by the neck and says, choose. Tell me about the smuggling route and the spy, and then die a comfortable death or suffer a death so tragic that even Satan would pray for you. After that, we see Velias' western border trading post. Someone brings 2 boxes of potions. The other person says, we'll be able to take a bit more this time. I wonder how much is in this box. In the second box is the head of Reynald. They ask, who did this? Cyan is watching everything. Kiram asks, are you not going to do anything about those guys? Cyan says, yeah, I assume the warning was enough. He thinks, Garum Kingdom's 7-star Mage Knight, Reynald Crimson. He's been smuggling the blood of demonic beasts from the front lines behind the Ushif Empire's back. The items he smuggled were taken to the Garum Kingdom's Mage Association. Garum Kingdom's Mage Association, a place where all the mages insanely obsessed with magic gather. They study the origin and foundation of magic, as well as the art of creating new magic. They are an association that aspires to surpass the limits of humanity. Currently, they're making useful artifacts like the Dimension Box. But in the future, they'll do all kinds of insane stuff with the demonic beast blood. I need to put a stop to it now. Kiram asks, I thought you were going to live for yourself. Isn't this a really selfless thing to do? Cyan tells her, I just don't want any more people using the demonic beast blood. A residence in the Ushif Empire. We see one of his brothers say, Cyan Vert went to the front lines with father. A girl asks, Cyan Vert, that half-brother of yours? He says yes. He's been getting on my nerves. I'll have to go see him. Subscribe for the next part.